Hi, this is Neil, and I'm partnering with the great HPC Today to bring you the Surfactant Insights Podcast. Today, we're talking about the regulatory maze that a surfactant company may find itself navigating in just the household and personal care cleaning markets. My advice, right up front, when considering making new products or entering new markets, game everything out to its conclusion when thinking about the regulatory hurdles you have to overcome before starting commercialization. Plan carefully how you make, market, test, even name your products with an eye on the regulatory impact before you get started. Finally, get expert advice. Here's a few regulations that you'll need to become very familiar with. First up, dioxane in consumer products. New York State limits 1,4-dioxane to 1 part per million, and California has proposed something similar. This, therefore, is a de facto national standard, and of course it affects ether sulfates more than any other class of surfactants. Most major sulfators have met this regulation by ensuring that, in their surfactants, dioxane is limited to a maximum of 5 ppm. But there's more. Germany notified ECHA in 2023 of an intent to restrict dioxane in surfactants to 1 part per million active basis. That's under REACH Annex 17. The dossier submission has been delayed to October 2025, which is very soon. This is a big deal, and I expect a lot of pushback from the industry. Next up is the EU's CLP, that's Classification, Labeling and Packaging Regulation. This requires surfactants and mixtures to be classified for hazards. Recent amendments have introduced new hazard classes, including endocrine disruptors, persistent bioaccumulative and toxic substances, and very persistent, very mobile substances. This CLP also has implications for other regulations, including the Detergents regulation. So let's talk about that. We're still in Europe here. The EU Detergents regulations mandate ultimate biodegradability for all surfactants since 2004. The 2023 proposal, provisionally agreed just this June of 25, extends stricter aerobic and anaerobic biodegradability to all organic ingredients. It introduces a digital product passport, requiring extensive data to be available via a scannable link. It also proposes stricter rules to substantiate green and bio-based claims. Okay, let's head over to the USA. As I've said and written extensively, TSCA, the Toxic Substances Control Act administered by the EPA, is a national embarrassment. It's a slow and anachronistic process to get any new product onto the cleaning market, thankfully excluding personal care, which the EPA does not control. My only advice is to start early, push relentlessly, and make sure your product is fully biodegradable. And if it qualifies as a polymer, well, so much the better. Next, the INCI naming system. That's International Nomenclature of Cosmetic Ingredients. It's not a regulation per se, as it's industry self-managed, but it's critically important. Be proactive and think about the name you'd like to have for your new ingredient. This is key when we consider the next regulation, which is China's CSAR. the Cosmetic Supervision and Administration Regulation. Effective since 2021, it regulates ingredients in cosmetics. If your ingredient's INCI name is already on the approved list of products, that helps avoid some time and some expense. If not, depending on the nature of your product, some animal testing may be required. And if you don't wish to do that, then a 3-year record of sales outside of China, along with some approved non-animal tests, may be okay. Again, if your product is a polymer under CSAR, the process is a lot easier. On top of what I've just mentioned, various initiatives regulating PFAS will be something to be aware of as manufacturers, as will, of course, the EPA stance on ethylene oxide handling facilities and their potential for air pollution, which, for the meantime, seems to have eased off, but with future changes in the US administration, may well kick back into high gear. And of course, we can't avoid mentioning just one more time the EUDR, which, as we know, stands for Europe's dumbest regulation. Well, actually, it's the European Deforestation Regulation. Right now, the current draft allows into Europe non-ionic and anionic surfactants of almost any provenance, but strictly regulates the import and use of fatty alcohols and fatty acids, precursors to those surfactants made from palm. This loophole just needs to be fixed. So, a lot to consider in terms of regulations, especially for companies dealing with new products and or new markets. As I said at the beginning, start working on this early and retain expert help. It will be worth it in the long run. If you've anything to add or ask, please get in touch. And in the meantime, thanks again for listening.